Hi everybody, today's video we're going to look at the water system on the new T7 California. So we've got an ocean behind us here. I'm going to show you where the cold water tank is, where the wastewater tank is, how to empty those, how to fill them up, where it comes out the tap, how it comes out the bottom of the vehicle and all that good stuff like that. So let's start off with the most logical thing. Let's start off and actually follow where the water goes. So from putting it in to it coming back out again. So the fresh water tank to put it in is round the back. Let's go and have a look at that first. So at the back here we can quite clearly see we've got our blue cap, which is for the cold water supply, so the water goes in there. These are for the shower connections, which is off the tank that's there as well. So to get into this, obviously just turn it, comes off. You are provided with a little funnel, quite like this. That just slots in there. That sounds about right, that's in there. That goes in like that. That's there, so obviously that's going to go into there, and then you can put that with the hose pipe or a hose, a bucket, however you're filling it up in there. And obviously what that's going to do is going to make it easy so you can get it in without it all coming off here. So even if you're using a hose pipe and you're going to throw the hose pipe in, I'd be tempted still to put it on here, because at least then it's not going to go all over you, all over the vehicle. Obviously you could just put the hose pipe in as well, but you don't want it coming back and coming back in. So really easy to fill it up. Pop it in there, straight in, and that's going to go into the internal tank in here. And we can give you an idea of what that tank looks like from going on the top here. So if I move these out from here in the back, this gives us access to the panelling underneath. Hopefully you'll be able to see in through there now, and that's the top of the water tank. So for most people, you're never going to need any access to any of this anyway, but just to give you a rundown on things that's in here. So a big access panel in the corner there, should you ever need to actually get into the centre or anybody need to get into the actual tank itself. Just here is a sensor, tells us how much water is actually in there, that says on the display. And then there's a valve also on the top there as well, which is just around there. You just about see that valve to twist it. That's to drain the water out of that particular tank, because as you can imagine, obviously if there's water in there, the pump takes that water, puts it into the sink and then into the other tank and then out of the vehicle. But obviously if you want to drain that water out, you might not want to take it all the way through the pump. So you can twist that and then that water then will just come out from the bottom of the vehicle. We can also see part of this tank as well from the side here, because if I take this cover off, and this is where our gas bottle is. But the gas bottle moulding here is actually, this is part of the water tank. So that water tank is very cleverly filling this whole section here up of the vehicle, and then obviously the water you can see from the piping on the top is going off that way, going off to the shower that's here and going into the vehicle as well. So we've put our water in, so water, that's now, imagine that's full of water. Let's move on to the next step, which will obviously be the sink unit. So next stop is our sink. So if we just lift this up, sorry a bit, pull it out for a minute. So obviously we haven't got water in because we're in the showroom. We did once put water in the vehicle in the showroom. It didn't end well, it went all over the floor. So for today, you'll just have to imagine there is water coming out of this. When I do eventually get away in the vehicle, which I think is going to be quite soon, I think, fingers crossed, I can show you how this actually works in reality. So obviously just put that water's going to pour into your sink that's in here and either stay in the sink or drain through the sink. It's going to then come down through the back in here, and then it's going to come into the wastewater tank, which is down in here. And again, very, very similar setup to our cold water tank, so our fresh water supply tank. An access hatch at the top here to get in, our sensors that tells us how much water that's in there, and then to lock or unlock, which obviously then will remove the water from that tank. So that tank will store the water, whatever that's in there, and obviously then you can turn that to release that water, whether that be over a grate, for example, on a campsite, something like that, and then that would come out as well. And then we'll have a look under the vehicle and I'll show you where that pipe actually comes out, so you've got an idea of where that would roughly be underneath the vehicle. Okay, so the next bit involves me getting on the floor, but basically your tank's here, probably, where are we, get my bearings, probably somewhere like there in the mix of it that's in there. So the drain's going to be underneath this section of the vehicle. So we'll try and show you this effectively, but you can see where my finger is. This is all panelling for underneath the vehicle. And just on where this bit is here, in here, there is a pipe sticking out, and that pipe is obviously, that is for the water to drain out. So the water is going to drain out around this kind of area here. So on the outside rather than underneath, that drain tube is pretty much there and underneath the vehicle. So it's going to be around this area just to give you an idea where it's actually going to drain out from. And then if you're emptying this side of it, there is a hole just underneath here where a little comes through, and you can actually see pretty much daylight through there now because I've got it opened on the inside. And that's because in your gas bottle chamber that's here, there's a hole at the bottom, and that's where that water can then feed into. So it'll just pour out underneath the vehicle if you're to open that. But that's fresh water, so you can put that anywhere. So obviously to empty it, you just go and park over a grid, for example, that was on there. If you're on a campsite, something like that, to empty it out, pull the lever up, and that will just empty it straight out from on there as well. Obviously you need to know what levels you're in your water, and that's through the head-up display on here. So we can just turn that on from on there, and it very clearly shows you so how much you've got in your fresh water and how much is in your wastewater that's in there as well. So nice and easy. So we've got empty and empty that's showing on here. If you press that, it gives you just the same detail that's on the next screen on there, but it's on the main screen as you can see it from on there, so nice and easy. And that's it for today. Hope you've enjoyed the video, having a look at the water system on the new T7 California. As I said, this vehicle's an Ocean, but whether you've got the coast or the ocean, the water system is exactly the same. It does apply throughout from on there as well. Let us know what your thoughts are on there. Put them in the comments box below. If there's anything you're not sure about that we haven't explained, please add that in as well, and we can talk about that in more detail, or add it to a Q&A session coming up shortly. So as always, if you don't subscribe, please subscribe if you want to see more content like this on the new T7 California, and we'll see you next time.